is there a degree of miscalculation, by the PLA or the Chinese, that has sort of offset their designs or their calculations of what they wanted to achieve? One of them could be resolve from the Indian Army, something that they were not used to before. The other could be preemptive actions that have been taken, in the last few weeks. Is there a measure of the Chinese being caught off guard, and that's why they're having to course correct now?
Well, your latter remark is more correct than the first, in the sense that it was the Indian side who seized the initiative to seize some of these heights, and that changed the dynamics on the ground.
Yes, it did.
And of course, the commanders would have to reassess their own positions. But let's make it quite clear that the commanders on both sides are not allowed to have a free hand. They are the tail that cannot be allowed to wag the dog.
Right.
The dog is the big picture. I mean, they're dictated by the highest leaders in both countries. So I think that as both countries have decided on a kind of easing the situation, I don't think the commanders on both sides are allowed to unravel the situation. So I think that this talks is both commanders are preparing for these talks, and I think that the China side may take a little bit of time to reassess the situation and to allow for some build up of their own strength, not to attack, but then to increase their chips, the bargaining chips, perhaps.
No, the Indian side definitely has more bargaining chips. I mean, that's the least that one can say about how the dynamic has changed since August the 29th. Jaydev Ranade, yes, trust is at an all-time low. Yes, the relations have been severely damaged as far as, faith in talks is concerned. There is no question that the Indian military is prepared in every way for any eventuality and is not looking at the result of talks to take its own initiatives, as has been demonstrated since August the 29th. But what should the Indian government and the military be looking forward to from these talks when they happen? And we're hearing they could happen the next 2-3 days now.
Well, I'll just take you back a couple of steps before I address your question.
Yes.
The first is, how did this entire situation arise? It arose because the Chinese forces suddenly appeared on our doorstep, I may say. We didn't trigger the entire situation, but we were presented with it. So that is the first thing we should not lose sight of.
Yeah.
Second, when there were the talks at the defense minister level and at the foreign minister's level, particularly between the two foreign ministers, you will recall that a joint press communique was issued, a joint press statement. And almost simultaneously with that, the Chinese Foreign Ministry issued a statement which contained some other points not included in this joint press statement. So that is a departure. That is a breach of, I would say, faith of what happened.
Very true.
So that is an instance of deception. And I wouldn't call it, that trust is at all-time low. I would call it absent trust at the moment. That's how things are. Now, as far as these talks are concerned, I frankly am pessimistic as to what's going to come, because the way I look at it is this force build-up on the Chinese side, the advances that the Chinese made could not have happened without the express approval of the Central Military Commission and the chairman of the Central Military Commission. Now, he is the only one who will have to take the decision, which is what I said. Xi Jinping is weighing his options. He'll have to take the decision as to how the talks should move forward, whether they should move forward, and whether there should be any kind of resolution which allows a pullback.